Thank you. First, I would like to frame my comments in the basic idea that I condemn all forms of hate. I don't think that there's any splitting hairs there. That does not make me radical left. It makes me human to think that all people should feel safe in their environment. In the wake of the October 7th Hamas terrorist attacks in Israel, there's been a dramatic nationwide rise in reported anti-Semitic incidents, especially on college campuses. Anti-Semitism in this nation has been on the rise for at least a decade. The ADL found that the number of anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. increased by more than 35% from 2021 to 2022, and we've seen those numbers skyrocket in the last 2 months. A few weeks ago, at Central Connecticut State University in my district, a racial slur and a swastika were written on a bathroom stall on campus. We should all be working to find solutions to this problem, not doing what we're doing here today in this committee. The Biden administration released the National Strategy to Counter Anti-Semitism earlier this year. The strategy seeks to increase awareness and education in schools, communities, and the workplace about anti-Semitism. This includes having the United States Holocaust and Memorial Museum launch the first ever U.S.-based Holocaust Education Research Center to promote effective Holocaust education. As a history teacher, I know the immense power of storytelling and how healthy dialogue is imperative to finding common ground. I would also like to make the point that teachers, professors, educators do not enter this profession to hate any group of people. I'm happy to hear that all of the people on the panel list responded to the question by my colleague that you do not collect data on the conservative or liberal views of faculty. I'd argue that that would be unconstitutional. I would also like to note in the case of Harvard, you had a very conservative, notable alum who was invited to join your advisory committee. So diversity of thought is important, and all those views should be welcome on any college campus. President McGill, what steps has the University of Pennsylvania taken in the history to ensure students have an understanding of the history of anti-Semitism in order to address the rise of hate on your college campus?
I appreciate the question very much. There are a wide variety of things we do at Penn. We are very proud to be home to a very strong Jewish Studies department with faculty members who are expert, like Dr. Nadell, on the history and manifestation of anti-Semitism. Many students are taking those classes. We are proud to call Penn home to the Katz Center for Judaic Studies, which is a world resource in historical materials about Judaica and anti-Semitism and many centuries of history, actually. And many of our faculty and staff and students participate in programs at the Katz Center through their fellowships and education. And the third thing I'd identify, and there's more to say, we have many student groups that engage with one another across lines of disagreement, and they talk together, usually with the leadership of faculty, to learn from one another and from the faculty.
Which is exactly what is supposed to happen on a college campus. I also want to acknowledge the increase in Islamophobia after the October 7th attack. Not so-called Islamophobia, but Islamophobia. Palestinian students on and off college campuses have been targeted. President Gay, in your November 9th open letter to members of the Harvard community, you mentioned specific steps that you are implementing in connection with your ongoing work with the Anti-Semitism Advisory Group. Specifically, you mentioned work being conducted at the Office of Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging. I'll also just say that 18,000 complaints have been received by the Department of Education Office of Civil Rights, the same office that my colleagues are trying to defund. 48% of those have been sex discrimination, 32% disability discrimination, and 17% based on race or national origin. We have a problem. We need to welcome and embrace diversity in this country and teach young people why it is important to have a full understanding. My time has expired, and I know I'm going to be gavelled out, so if you can just submit that question for the record, I would appreciate it. And thank you all for the work that you are doing.
I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes.